Voice. Your narrator is sharply drawn, intelligent, observant, wounded, but not weak. The internal monologue feels lived in and authentic, never overwritten. Structure and rhythm. The vignette-style unfolding works beautifully. The narrative isn't linear, but the emotional progression is. We feel the weight of each moment, the rest stop, the Thanksgiving dinner, the final encounter with Marjorie, each beat landing harder than the last. Imagery and details, everything from the sticky asphalt to the buzzing vending machine feels tactile. Small details like the napkin, the smirk, and the cracked car window breathe real atmosphere into the story. Suggestions for consideration. Opening clarity. The first few lines could be slightly tightened. Right now, it jumps a bit abruptly from anecdote to reflection. Consider grounding the reader with a slightly clearer sense of time or setting. Example: my name's Leora, and when I was 17, my parents left me at a rest stop with $5 and a note. They called it a joke, a lesson, but that lesson didn't end there, etc. Marjorie's arc. Marjorie is fascinating in her coldness. You might consider adding a single flashback or interaction from childhood where Leora thought they were close, to contrast the betrayal more strongly. Length and flow. This works beautifully as is, but it's long. If you're thinking of publishing this, say in a literary magazine or as the first chapter of a memoir, you might explore breaking it into two parts: the rest stop and the return. That would let each emotional beat breathe even more. Ending. Line. The very final line seems to cut off mid-thought. Her rewrite. If this was intentional, it could be a dramatic ellipsis into a next part. If not, maybe you lost part of the last sentence. Either way, it feels like we're about to launch into something significant. Final thought. This is not just a story of trauma. It's a story of transformation, boundaries, and narrative reclamation. You've taken something that could have easily leaned into victimhood and instead made it a manifesto of self-authorship. If you'd like help formatting it for submission, editing it for voice and length, or even designing a cover letter or personal essay around it, I'd be honored to help. Her voice at 14:52 was careful, like she didn't want to wake a sleeping animal. There's a woman named Delilah asking if you're available to meet, she said. Says it's urgent. I didn't look up. Just closed the folder on my screen, proof they always knew, and took a slow breath. Did she give a last name? She said she didn't need to. Of course she did, 9 years. That's how long it had been since I heard my mother's voice. Not since she called to say, "You can't punish us forever. Eventually you'll grow up and understand." Apparently the growing up was one-sided. Tell her I'm free in 30, I said, already reaching for the blazer behind the door. When they arrived, yes, they came, it wasn't with tears or regret. No shaky voices. No handwritten apology cards like the ones they used to send. To church friends after public fights, Delilah walked in like she owned the place. Wendell followed, scanning the space like he was pricing it out. "Wow," Delilah breathed. "You've really done well for yourself." I didn't offer coffee, didn't even gesture toward the chairs. They sat anyway. Wendell leaned back, like he'd helped build this place. "Impressive square footage," he said, "and the light, just beautiful." I waited. Delilah smoothed the hem of her blazer. We were thinking, maybe it's time we started fresh, as a family. "Fresh?" I repeated. She nodded. "You've built something amazing here. What if we contributed to the next phase? A shared space. Your work, our name, symbolic." Wendell chimed in. "Legacy matters. Imagine our name on one of your properties. A family restoration project, you could say." I didn't answer, just studied them. The way Wendell's eyes flicked toward the glass trophy by the door. The way Delilah's hands hovered over her bag like she might pull out a brochure. This wasn't a peace offering. It was a pitch. "You know," Wendell added, smiling just enough, We gave you your first push. That rest stop. That was your origin story, wasn't it? It took everything in me not to laugh. He said it like he was proud, like ditching your daughter on the side of a highway with $5 and a vague sense of justice was some brilliant parenting move. I kept my face still. Thanks for coming, I said, but I don't do retroactive partnerships, especially not ones rooted in guilt. Delilah's smile faltered. You're still angry. I'm not angry, I said calmly. I'm alert. They left a few minutes later. No slam door, no insult. Just Wendell's parting shot as the elevator opened. Don't forget who taught you to survive. The next afternoon, I received an email. No subject line, just a scanned document. My name was gone from the estate. Delilah and Wendell had updated their will. Marjorie was listed. So was a family friend from church. Me? I was omitted due to sustained estrangement and failure to uphold relational support. I wasn't supposed to see it. But someone, still don't know who, sent it from a masked email. They had already written me out. Now they were making it official. I didn't cry, didn't slide to the floor gasping like some made-for-TV heroine. I opened a new folder on my desktop in case they try again. Inside, I started logging everything. The visit, the pitch, the estate change, client contracts they might try to tie themselves to. I knew how they operated. They didn't fight fair. They rewrote. That evening, I called my lawyer. This isn't about inheritance, I told him. It's about narrative. Let's talk reputation clauses. He didn't ask for clarification. You ready to draw a line? I looked at the screen still glowing in front of me. My name, my company, my work. All of it built from the ashes of that $5 lesson. No, I said. I'm ready to carve it in stone. The following Thursday, just after I wrapped a consult, with a local bookstore, my phone buzzed. A Google alert. I was halfway to my car, still thinking about shelving layouts, when the headline hit, Daughter abandons aging parents after fame and fortune. Subhead, We raised her right. We just didn't realize she'd rewrite the truth. It wasn't from a major outlet, just a community blog with too many ads and a comment section full of retirees, conspiracy theorists, and well-meaning strangers. The reach wasn't the problem. It was the lie. They painted me as a selfish opportunist, a once troubled teen rescued by loving, strict parents, only to toss them aside the moment she found success. After all we did for her, it quoted Delilah, she cut us off cold. No calls, no birthdays, just a wall. What stunned me most wasn't the accusation. It was how well written it was, polished, strategic. They didn't just want to discredit me. They wanted to replace my version with theirs. By the time I pulled into the garage, my inbox was a battlefield. Emails from partners, a canceled meeting. Even my assistant texted, Want me to pull our brand mentions off the homepage until this blows over? I didn't respond. I needed a minute. That had always been the difference between me and them. They flailed. I waited. They reacted. I calculated. By nightfall, the post had been reshared dozens of times across local forums and Facebook groups. People who'd never met me had already formed opinions. Ungrateful. Typical millennial. Another narcissist built by TikTok hustle culture. And then, nestled in the comments, someone I vaguely remembered from high school. Didn't her parents abandon her at a rest stop or something? Reply. No, that was a misunderstanding. A teaching moment. Kids today are so dramatic. I stared at that screen until my eyes burned. No tears, no screams. Just resolve. I opened my social app. Started typing, stopped, deleted, typed again, paused. Then I posted this. I was left at a rest stop with Fido. I didn't forget. They just assumed I would stay quiet. That was it. No hashtags, no dramatic punctuation, just truth. Undecorated. The response came slow. A few likes, one heart, then the messages, some kind. A few from people who knew the family, apologizing for their silence. One was from a woman who used to teach Sunday school at our old church. The voice is razor sharp, unflinching, and powerful. There's a quiet but seething energy throughout. It's not the kind of rage that screams. It builds, catalogs, and strikes with intent. 2. Structure and escalation. The narrative unfolds like a slow burn. Each new beat raises the stakes, from emails and Yelp reviews to lawsuits and countersuits, all woven together with surgical clarity. 3. Thematic resonance. At its core, this isn't just a personal reckoning. It's a reckoning for anyone who's been gaslit, silenced, or expected to protect those who harmed them. Themes of survival, legacy, silence, generational abuse, and truth versus narrative are explored in depth. 4. Vivid character. Work. Delilah and Wendell are not caricatures, but the chilling details, the cease and desist, the voicemail, the barbecue clip, bring them fully to life without needing excess backstory. Areas to consider, if you're editing or publishing. 1. Format as is. It reads like a continuous block of stream of consciousness. Consider breaking it into chaptered vignettes or time-stamped entries to ease pacing and highlight key narrative turns. 2. Dialogue. Attribution. The dialogue is often embedded mid-paragraph and can get lost. You might want to separate dialogue from narrative beats more clearly for clarity and rhythm. 3. Legal detail. While the legal escalation is compelling, a few moments could benefit from light context or framing, especially for readers unfamiliar with filial responsibility laws. A line or two of explanation could enhance accessibility. 4. Catharsis. The story is strong on momentum and justice, but readers might crave a moment of emotional release or softness, a glimpse of healing or connection beyond the legal victories. Next steps, depending on your goal. If this is fiction, this is strong enough to expand into a full-length literary novel or novella, especially if you flesh out side characters like Mia, the lawyer, or even the online responders who shared their stories. If this is memoir, creative nonfiction, consider submitting excerpts to literary magazines or turning this into a book proposal. This has the potential to resonate widely with readers of personal essays and trauma recovery narratives. If this is advocacy-based, this could be the foundation of a campaign, an op-ed series, or even a TED-style talk. The personal story paired with legal confrontation makes it ideal for impact work. This piece is beautifully constructed with pacing that mirrors the emotional rhythm of trauma and healing. The courtroom scenes are sharp and composed, grounding. The reader in facts, while the return to the rest stop is quiet and lyrical, a shift from confrontation to restoration. Themes that land. Deep-breaking silence as power. The line, "They didn't ask me to be kind. They demanded silence," speaks volumes about generational harm. Healing as action, not permission. The return point isn't a metaphor, it's a literal, physical space. Your character created something concrete from something cruel. That's extraordinary. Justice outside of court. The court ruling provided relief, but the true justice came from reclaiming place, memory, and identity. Craft note structure. The progression from the courtroom to the shelter to the road trip gives the piece a cinematic arc. Justice, healing, closure. Voice. The tone is steady and assured, with just enough vulnerability to feel human without tipping into sentimentality. Symbolism. The $5 the plaque, the envelope, each is used sparingly but with profound resonance. What you might explore more, if you choose to expand, Ramona's arc. Her brief appearance is impactful. If you ever return to this narrative, her quiet alliance could offer a powerful mirror of not all silence is betrayal. some is survival. The nonprofit. The creation of the shelter hints at a larger mission. That storyline could be deeply inspiring to unfold. Digital impact. The Medium post, the DMs, the sentence posted online. There's a whole layer here about modern visibility and the power of survivors reclaiming narrative in public. Final thought. This story doesn't ask for pity or applause. It extends a hand. And that is what makes it not just strong, but generous. To answer your question directly, yes. Many of us have had to choose distance over connection, and many more needed to hear a story like this to know that peace can come without permission. Thank you again for telling it.